This movie is not based on a true story. Nothing in this movie is true at all, except welcome back to another episode of the Aren't You Glad I Said It podcast. I'm your host, Brandon, back with another episode here. And first, I just want to start by saying thank you guys for all the love and support on the last few videos, man. The last one especially too, man. See it circulating, man. Thank you guys so much. You know, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you like the content. Share it with a friend if you enjoy it. And don't just watch, hit the subscribe button, man. Let me know what you think too in the comment section. But so we're gonna hop right into it today. We have a good episode. I just want to talk about, I saw a movie the other day, and it was called The Woman King. Most of you probably know it. It's a popular film right now. Actually, I think it even is #1 in the box office on for opening weekend. So it turns out that they're really good. Now, The Woman King stars Viola Davis and a few other actors, or I should say actresses and actors. But so it's not a star-studded cast, but they have a good cast in terms of like talented actors, right? People able to bring characters to life, etc. Even Jason Boyega, who's Boyega, I gotta get his pronunciation. He's a good actor. I just saw him in Breaking, and Breaking was really like, he gave me Denzel vibes in that movie. So he plays the king in this one, and so it's an interesting film. So I figured we'd talk about that a little bit today. And if we have time, we might get to another topic as well, but let's just jump right into this thing, man. So The Woman King. Just to give you guys like my basic overall opinion on the film in general, out of 3 stars, I would give it like a 2. And the 2 to me is pushing it. I gave this as many stars as I could, you guys. Like, it was a really tough film to get through. And if I didn't go to the movies with someone else, I would not have finished this movie. Like, I would have walked out of the theater. And it sucked because it was my first time experiencing 4DX. If some of you guys haven't been to like Regal Cinemas, or I don't know how many other theaters have it, but 4DX is a seats that like they move around and they jiggle, and they breathe, they mist when it's like forest scenes, and they spray water when it's ocean scenes. They do all that good stuff, right? It's like environmental. So that's the 4D part. That's the last D in it. So you kind of get a little bit of everything. And so as it stands, I don't know if I'll go back because I didn't really like this movie like that. And I feel like it was not a good experience in the 4D. But I'm going to try to take it with a grain of salt and like give it a second chance. And I'm going to try to find a movie that really would fit it, like a good action movie or something like that. Or maybe even like an ocean-based movie. Like Avatar might be one of those, go see it in that. But anyway, I digress. So the movie, The Woman King, right? So I just want to be clear too. I saw online some people asking and talking about it. This movie is not based on a true story. Nothing in this movie is true at all, except the simple fact that there were a group of black women who were warriors, who were fierce, and they protected the king and their people with great ferocity, compassion, and really loved their land, and they fought for their land, valiantly. So that's the only piece of it that's real. Other than that, this is a fictitious story, fantasy drama type deal. And I say fantasy for the reasons I'm going to explain in a minute, because they definitely hit the fantasy realm. So in terms of who made it, I think that's important to know, not just like who's acting in it, because the actors don't write the movie or produce it or say, hey, I want to do this scene like this. There's a group of people, if you don't know. I'm just playing. Like, it's a group of people though that make the film. The director of the film was a woman by the name of Gina Prince-Bythewood. You may know her from movies like The Old Guard or Love and Basketball. Even though Love and Basketball is a Spike Lee joint, she directed the film. So you can kind of see her visions get played out. Which Love and Basketball is a movie for like a whole nother day as to why that was horrible. But I digress. So Gina Prince-Bythewood, and I believe she's biracial. I'm not sure. I have to check on that at some point. But the rest of the people that made the movie, they got producer credits. Here, let's see. There are multiple people who have producer credits, but the names they list as the big names who actually really buckled in and got these credits on this film. Well, actually, all of the producers. I'll list those for you guys. The first woman is also part of the story writing team. Actually, I mentioned them first. It's a woman by the name of Maria Bello and Dana Stevens. They wrote this. Bello, I believe, did the screenplay. And so they're the writers of this story, this fantasy drama that was created. And so the other producers are, aside from Maria Bello, Dale Butler, Peter McAleese, Kathy Schulman, and Julius Tenen. And apparently Viola Davis also gets a producer credit as well. So those are the producers of this film. And so that's what, there you have it. That's the people that made this. I just want to point out the fact that Julius Tenen and Viola Davis, who's actors, they're the only ones that are black. So the story about an African group of people is written by non-black people. Now, I say this not to say that you can't write stories about other people. That'd be crazy. As a writer myself and somebody who writes characters in short stories and books, you absolutely can write about other characters. But as a writer, I think everyone knows when you write something, the idea is to draw someone in, right? You want your audience to connect with what it is that you're saying. So it becomes important to write about something that you understand or you can relate to, or you really get it. And if you don't, the further away you are from the subject and disconnected from the subject, the more disconnected and the further away your audience is going to be from that subject, right? That's just basic logic from writing one-on-one. It's like, when I was in school, a teacher told me something that stuck with me to this day. She said, I was having trouble articulating a particular piece, and she just looked at me and said, listen, write the way that you speak and you'll be able to write for days. I've been writing the way I speak for days, or I might have created multiple writing voices that are not just how I speak, but also how I think. And so it made writing that much easier, because now I connect with my work on a different level than just, I'm writing this because I have to. So now I feel it now, right? So that's writing 101. Write about something you understand and you feel, so it's connected and the ideas and the thoughts make sense. When you write about things you don't understand, they won't make sense. Maria Bellows and Dana Stevens, I'm talking to y'all. And Viola Davis and Julius Tenen, y'all should have checked them on set when they decided to produce this type of garbage. So we're gonna get into why it's garbage. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, I'm spoiling this joint. You can pause it now, go see the movie, and come back and be like, oh, he was right about every point. Because I'm going to be so right about this movie. So let's hop into it though. Let's really talk about it. So the basic premise of the movie, if you haven't seen a trailer, Viola Davis plays a general in the army, which is composed of just women, these female warriors. I think they're called the Oishi. Either way, she's the general of the army that works for the king. Now, this army is revered in their city, which is called Dahomey, which I think is super ironic that they call it the homie. As people here can relate to calling their friends the homies. Let's digress. Let's not even get caught up in entendres today, even though I love entendres. Let's move forward. She plays this general, and basically they end up going to war, or they're in conflict with another group of people. The underlying stories that end up actually running the plot is that the king, played by the Boyega guy, he's looking to find a woman king so that they can have balance in the kingdom, right? Now, this is a funny concept because I want you guys to remember the fact that he's looking for a woman king to balance him being the male king, so that the country can have balance. Now, he still retains the highest form of power, but this gives people a woman or a feminine presence that they can go to, right? Just understand this. Now, Viola Davis has two lieutenants that are also prominent, characters in the movie. One played by Lashonda Lynch. I just want to shout her out. She plays this woman named Mizuki, and to me, she just did the best acting job in the movie, and I love the job she did. I'll be looking for her. Lashonda Lynch, you killed it. So she has these lieutenants that run the soldiers. The next character is a little girl. Not little, turns out she's 19 years old. And we're introduced to her, and she actually plays like the main character essentially, next to Viola Davis. And this girl is like, she's considered unruly in the sense that we see the scene with her and her dad. Her dad is, standing next to his wife, and he says, "Hey, this is your new husband." And she's 19, remember? And the guy he's pointing to is this guy who's like, he has gray in his beard, just to put in perspective, right? Older gentleman, like 30 years older, gotta be. So he's like 50. And so the guy's like, "Oh, you're gonna be my wife and you're gonna work." And she doesn't say anything, right? Because obviously she's steaming about this, because who wants to hear that? And the guy's like, he looks at her and he slaps the crap out of her. And so she pushes him onto the ground. So obviously he doesn't want to marry her. The dad says, "Hey, I'm about to give you away to the palace and give you to the king." And she becomes a soldier for the homie. And so now the guys, they live in this palace area where no men are allowed to go, etc. They're not allowed to have families. They're not allowed to take wives, have children. The women soldiers are not allowed to take husbands or have children. However, the male soldiers in the palace, they're allowed to have wives and children. And this point gets brought up multiple times because a younger girl, she wants the best of both worlds, right? It's not that she doesn't want to get married. She doesn't want to marry these lames her dad's been bringing up, right? These lame old men, and who want her to just basically be a servant to them. She wants to marry a guy and love the guy and be, happy with the guy. Normal stuff. Now, before I go forward, I want to say that this movie, the reason it was number 1 in the box office is because they played on themes that are very heavy on the heart of some people. 1 being feminism, and 2 being strong black women. 2 themes I think we definitely need to see more of. Absolutely. However, Hollywood, we don't need to see fake versions of these things. And this movie is that fantasy fake version of this thing. Now, the feminism that they depict in Hollywood is absolutely crazy. You go through this movie and these women are tearing men apart. Literally dismembering the men, cutting heads off, ripping limbs off, gouging eyes out, all types of horrible things to these men. And every scene, they're just vile and disgusting the way that they're killing these men for the sake of saving their own people. They're willing to destroy these men who are selling people to the slave trade. I guess if that's the way to balance it out, sure. Now, we go through the whole movie and there's no level of diplomacy, right? We find out the antagonist is a general who, fake feminism alert in Hollywood, he raped Viola Davis. So of course, men are the most evil, vile creatures in this too. Men are either stupid or they only want sex in this movie. And they're actually both at the same time, pretty much the entire movie, right? This guy, the general, he rapes women, obviously, that he captures, which I just might add is a popular tactic used in military in a lot of cultures. Not really talked about in African cultures, but I can't imagine that people were okay with kidnapping a lot of people and not accosting them in some form of way, right? I digress. This is how they build all the male characters. Now, the king, he's viewed in this way because he has no sense. This man, when they ask him, does he want to go against this general and end the selling of their people to the slave trade, or if he wants to sell palm oil, this guy's like, "Oh, we can sell enough palm oil to feed the country because the slave trade has made us rich already." He's like, "Show me." And so Viola Davis takes him out into the palm fields and shows him how they have basically a Ford factory level of production going on. They have vats of the stuff and they're heating it up to separate it and take the palm oil from it. It's like, bro, what type of king are you that you don't see all of this stuff going on in your own country? You know how long it takes to grow a tree? It's not tomorrow. So what is he talking about? Show me. My guy, you don't know what's going on? Because these soldiers put on this palm oil every day. When I tell you, these women in this movie are glistening, they look like glycerin balls. It's hilarious that he doesn't know that they got this much palm oil in the country, because his soldiers got to be using at least 12% of it. If he just stopped that, the country might be able to be rich. But I digress. He doesn't know what's going on in his own country. His wife, who plays a feminine woman, right? She moves feminine, she dresses feminine, a little too revealing at times, but I'm gonna digress on that. She plays the feminine character, so she's obviously conniving. She's against him because she has a wife and she has children and she has his ear and she wants to deceive him. The same way, the only other feminine presence we saw is the little girl's mom. Remember, she just stood by and let the guy slap her daughter. These are the women who are playing the wife roles in the movie that we get to see, right? Now, mind you, I say the husband, he's sexualized in a way that he has about 7 to 10 wives. So he doesn't know anything going on in his country, but he know how to get them booty. He get that booty. Like, that's all he knows how to do is marry all these women, but he don't know how to run the country. What type of king is this guy? And why are we listening to him? Like, clearly his advisors are ill, like he's ill-informed, and his advisors don't know what's going on. I digress, right? That's how he's giving it up in this joint. So we fast forward and you meet the next character. So right now we got the king, who's an idiot, who's over-sexualized by his wives. You got the general, who's a fool and disrespectful and rapes women. Then you have the next character. This character is obviously for the little girl. Now the little girl, the 19-year-old girl, the young woman. This is for the young woman. They meet like in Pocahontas. She's by a waterfall in the water and he's out there and he's bathing. So she stumbles upon him and he's, butt out naked, right? Butt out naked. Turns out he's a guy, he's a mixed race. His mom was from Dahomey. And I just keep laughing at the fact that they're from Dahomey. His mom is from Dahomey and his dad is a European. Now, how this guy got to the country we seen earlier, he came across in a slave ship with his best friend who's a slave trader. Now, when he gets there, we like have a scene of him like seeing how Africans are being kept in bondage and chains in the first village. And he's like, oh, what's going on? He's like they give him that look of appalled or like, oh, shock or whatever. And it's like, bruh, what is it you shocked about? Like, you didn't know this was going on? You come from the country where they're enslaving people. There's slaves in your country. Like, come on, bro, stop that. Like, you're friends with a slave trader. You've never seen him conduct business ever in your life. This is the first time you've realized how oppressing slavery is and how close you came to being a slave. All right, that's that house nigga mentality that they gave this guy, and they absolved him of his sins through this. And you'll see later. Fast forward, they meet, blah, blah, blah. He falls and he likes her, of course. Now, we get to the end, the 19-year-old girl, they get into a fight, and she gets kidnapped. And she's going to be sold as a slave. So this guy, John Smith, a.k.a. John Smith, he thinks the best way to save her is he has to buy her from slavery. And one would think, free her and then let her run off into, back to her own village, to her people. Nope. His way of saving her, only way he knows how, because remember, men are stupid and sexualized in this movie. He has to sleep with her, so he has to take her virginity. This woman who's not allowed to sleep with men or have children. Remember, that's her role. She has to have one or the other. And the two, he wants to take her out the country and take her somewhere else where she can live life. Where, bro? Again, what world does he live in where black people can just have a great quality of life? They can't during this period of time. What are y'all talking about? This again, Viola Davis and Julius Tennant. It's Julius Tennant. Y'all have to do better. We gotta watch these people that create storylines that make no sense for us. How can you base a movie in reality and it's not based in reality? That's insane. This might as well have been like a title like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. If y'all remember that movie when they made Lincoln a vampire hunter. This is on the same scale of ridiculousness as that movie is. Like, come on, man. Like, so this guy sleeps with this young woman, and in the end, he betrays his slave master best friend. I guess that's supposed to be seen to us as a victory of him knowing and learning from his mistakes. No, he killed his best friend is really what happened. So, how do you go back and explain this to your people back in Europe? Like, that's where he's going. One would think that he would actually stay in Africa and be with the homies, right? But nah, he gonna go be with his real homies because he never thought about staying with his people where his mom is from. He wanted to go be back where his dad is from. So he just came to sleep with this woman and then get up out of there. That's it. That's all he got. So again, every male in this movie is literally a fool and over-sexualized. Have no sort of logical thinking. Viola Davis in the end kills the guy who rapes her. The king ends up finding what he needs after his feminine wife tries to deceive him, because she's, femininity is evil in this movie. And he names Viola Davis the woman king so the kingdom can have balance. He chooses the most masculine woman in the entire film so that they can have balance in the kingdom. Really? Balance? You want balance and you choose the most masculine woman instead of your wife who's feminine. I just can't. I can't with the level of... It's literally not even a level of logic in this movie at all. Scenes are crafted together that don't make sense. Scenes that don't really push the story along are put into this movie. Everything is just out of sync. The logic doesn't make sense. One thing doesn't connect to the other thing. It's absolutely insane. It's insane. When you expect characters to say certain things, they don't say them. Things that need to be said. And it's not one of those moments where, you know how movies try to do, like, a character should say this and they don't say it and you just saying like, oh, just say this and you fix the problem. No, like they literally just missed the mark because it's a bad script. Because the writers are just terrible. You're awful. You're awful writers. Awful writers, awful producers, and y'all just had a lot of money. $50 million was the budget. So yeah, you're going to come up with something good with $50 million behind it. Shoot, give me $50 million right now. I bet you I'll recoup that in the theaters. 1,000%. In fact, I give it to any of y'all. 50 million behind your project. You think you're not gonna make some money back? If you know how to turn the camera on, you're pretty much good. Give me that Hollywood call sheet and I can call the people that know how to do all the other stuff. I can write a decent enough script to make some money back on that. Like, come on, man. Like, that's craziness. Like, this story is like, it's like a doofus wrote it. You know what I mean? It's really ridiculous. But, I digress. That was the woman king, man. That was the woman king. And, it was pretty much exactly what I thought it would be. I didn't like it, couldn't enjoy it. It ruined our 4DX for me. So if you guys enjoyed it, man, it's cool. I'm not judging, I never would judge, like, in terms of, like, if someone else likes something I don't like. You might have your reasons. And if you have some good ones, man, put them down in the comments below. Like, and don't say that your reasons are because you want to see women empowered. I'm all for a woman empowered, but all the reasons I just named make it not that, because women have to choose. Do you realize they made a movie that is supposed to be feminism? Feminism's basic definition is equality for women, right? I'm a feminist. I want women to be on equal playing fields, or rather have opportunity to be successful. That sounds crazy. Anyone who would ever try to stop my mom, my cousins, my grandparents, my aunts, any of my females in my family from being successful, I'm definitely going to have a problem with that. 1,000%. And I think most men will. And the men who don't, they aren't men. Let's state that very clear right now, because every man I know that loves his family wants them to win. Point blank, period. And if you don't want them to win, hey, look, you're not real about what you say you are. And that's just facts. So let's take it for what it is. This is a fake woke, fake feminist, fake Hollywood film. Well, not fake Hollywood film, right? That's a kind of oxymoron. It's a fake agenda being pushed in this movie. It doesn't satisfy those things. You don't have to show scenes where they're dismembering men and beating them up, or when men have to rape the women, or when men, where fathers allow their daughters to be accosted by men, or when a guy thinks saving a woman is sleeping with her and try to take her away to another country where she's gonna be treated damn near the same. Or a man who has 10 wives and doesn't know what's going on in his own country and how to make money for the country, except selling other slaves. We gotta stop this, man. We gotta stop these storylines. This is ridiculous. You don't have to tear down another gender to make your gender look good, right? They're like the best Hollywood movies that women might say like are, oh, they make men look good. It's not. Superman's not Superman because he make Lois Lane seem less than what she is. Lois Lane's the greatest reporter of all time. The greatest of all time in that series, in that concept. Women can definitely be great. Great. She was great before she met Superman. Became greater because she got access. She knew how to use the tools at her disposal to make herself even better. Okay? So like, what are we playing? Don't play that game. So disagree if you want. But, hey, make that disagreement make sense, man. I'd be happy to have a conversation, man, for sure. So if you guys like the video, man, like, comment, subscribe, man. And, let me know what you guys think. And until the next time, Peace. Aren't you glad I said it? Yeah.